Hello, welcome to the S.H.O.P, the social hub of positivity. Here we are in the heart of, not the beast, but of the feast of beautiful art, with none other than a beautiful artist who creates amazing, interesting stuff. I personally have got some of his stuff in my house, very proud to say, but also prouder to say that Si Griffiths, for who many people around Chippenham area and further afield, because he exhibits in America, etc., will know. We've got it back in because we're very fortunate to have an exhibition of his stuff, which you can come down. He's doing a special rate because of who we are and what we're doing. So if you want to pick up an amazing bargain for this beautiful original art, please come to the Can Do shop. But more importantly, or just as importantly, Si, you wonderful beast, you, what's going on?
What, generally?
Yeah, because you had you've moved.
I had the gallery with the carnival in above Goodman, Warren and Beck, the estate agents. But and we opened last May and ran through till the end of last year. I also had a studio there that I was working out of. But actually, we ran two major international art exhibitions. And I say international because there was artists exhibiting there from the United States and all over the country and locally. But for me as an artist, as a working artist, to run a full-time gallery and be a working artist, I just burned out.
Yeah.
So by the end of the year, I made a decision to close the gallery, and in the meantime, I bought a property in the Causeway, that the front room of which is a former shop, with a view to turning that into the gallery. So we're going through that process at the moment. So I can live on site, I can have a studio on site, and I can have a shop on site, gallery on site.
Yeah.
But obviously these things take time to change use back from domestic to shop use or gallery use. And there's a whole bunch of hoops we have to jump through with the council. Don't start on the council.
Me? Why would I start on the council? I've got nothing but stuff to say about them.
And you know, it's quite a long process to do that, and quite involved. It was not as easy as I was led to believe, but hey ho, we are where we are. So that's sort of the plan, and then I'm unsure about opening hours. That will all come out further down the line, but it will. We may just be open 2 days a week, and I can work in the studio and cover the gallery.
And no doubt there will be people that will be very more than happy to volunteer to help you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a conflict going on that I didn't think about. I didn't realise before I made the decision to buy the place. And that is that it's actually it's my home as well as a sort of business.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm struggling a little bit with how that's going to fit. But we'll get there, one step at a time. That's the plan anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
And in the meantime, you know, it's great to have the window here.
Yeah.
For 3 weeks. So this week, I've got my graffiti work in there. My main work is sort of lowbrow, pop surreal, figurative work.
Yeah.
But the graffiti work that I do is just as a bit of a distraction from that.
Yeah.
That is good fun. I enjoy doing it. It's real good fun to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks good fun. I wonder, could you do workshops in that? Because I know that our young people might be very interested in, not because they want to go out and graffiti around the town, because we wouldn't encourage that. Because of course there are plenty of places. What we wanted to do, and we put to the council and councillors about the side of John Coles Park. There's a wall that gets graffitied and it looks quite unsightly, but we wanted to do a project with intergenerational project. So as the wall goes up by the children's play area, you'd have art done by with young people of that age, toddlers and what have you, and carers, right through to teenagers and senior citizens, because it's a really long wall. Do you know what I'm talking about? That goes up alongside.
I'm not familiar with it.
It's so obviously one side of the park has the road going round it, Malmesbury Road, and the other part is a walkway between Wedmore Avenue, I think, and Park Villas or whatever, and it has a little offspurt to King Arthur's. King Arthur? Is it King Arthur? I don't know what I'm talking about.
Alfred.
King Alfred, yeah.
Yeah.
Cul-de-sac, whatever. But the wall there, so we wanted to basically have it painted white. We would do it as a community group leading it, but work with artists so that at different areas could be owned by, but in a sense of the sort of sense of emotional ownership of a piece of work or a piece of property, to have different designs, murals basically going up there that were supported by professional and accomplished artists, but carried out mainly by your everyday individual that might be walking up and down that little road and thinking, hey, that looks good, mind. So what do you think about?
I mean, what I do is I paint canvases to look like graffiti walls, and I can have fun with that.
I've got one.
I can, yes.
Yes, I have.
And I can put messages in there and say things that I want to say, which is very different to painting a mural and or graffiti.
Oh, absolutely.
I have done some graffiti, and again, I don't have the time to learn to do it properly. What I have done, I've quite liked and was reasonably successful. But I mean, it's a great idea, and I think we need more of that.
But because it's public art, isn't it?
Yes,
we did one on the old road, which was sort of intergenerational. I'm not necessarily thinking about you having to do anything to do with the mural. What I'm thinking of is you doing workshops in here around the canvases that you do.
Yeah, that's.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So the young people that we work with, and I think the thing about this particular hub, not only was it the first, but it's also intergenerational. So we, on any given day, we have such a diverse range of people, age and emotional, physical, mental, sort of ability, whatever. So, and obviously we run an alternative education program, so to have the luxury of having such an artist that we go, actually guys, what about this? Because we always try and get them to look at different aspects of the whole culture, all everything, music, film, you name it. But art it's one of those ones. If you're only exposed to a certain type, if you don't like that, you're turned off. But if you get more influences, when you look around this, all the volunteers that work here, some of them do their work within here, and you can actually come in and access that, and you see them doing it. That's quite amazing. Or I'll introduce them to artists if people are looking at their work and say, well, that's the artist. And you get to talk to them. It's a unique, bizarre opportunity, but Ray Melody, so obviously she's got some lovely stuff here, but she's also done workshops. I think it's such a beautiful. I don't know what this looks like. But this is a physical convergence of the innocent bystander and the professional artist, or the accomplished artist sharing
connection.
Connection. That's it. I knew there was something in those fingers. Yeah.
It's the art itself. It's quite well thought out. So it would take some preparation, but we could do something.
Yeah, good. No, I can see. Oh yeah, I'm not certain that's some throwaway thing, or to undermine or demean the artist and the work that you do. I know you're a professional artist, and part of the struggle, for want of a better word, is where do you show your art? So I'm talking to lots of artists. We went to an exhibition over in Corsham recently, and again, I'm fortunate enough to buy a piece. It was two artists who'd combined on this piece, and it fascinated me. And listen to me, I sound like some really pretentious art buyer, but I hold great truck because I was very fortunate. My art teachers, mainly throughout my time, but certainly the ones at Sheldon School when I was there, the wonderful Pete Harris and Pete Kerr, JJ, they're both called Pete's actually. The pottery teacher, who I didn't like, she's watching, I loved her. But I was inspired, and it went beyond the classroom. They took us to exhibitions in London. It really changed everything I thought, a lot of things I felt and thought about life. And also was able to, because I did the life drawing class up at Hard Newish, and the wonderful Sophie Tilson, do you ever know the pop artist Jay Tilson?
Not sure.
He's quite a successful British pop artist in the 60s. And we just happened to have a piece of his art in our... We had a print of one of his pieces in our art room, even though his daughter went to the school.
I think you told me about that a while back. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So that, and then getting to meet him, blew my mind. This is why I think it's really important, because sometimes you see art and you have no idea why someone's created it. It just has, and that's perfectly fine. That's the majority. I love Vincent van Gogh. The chances of meeting him, I don't know. They might be quite limited. But to actually talk, I remember when you were getting your stuff shipped over to Portland, wasn't it?
Portland, Oregon. Yeah.
Yeah.
It got lost by FedEx.
Yeah, and it's like thinking this is an aspect of the artist's life that people would have no idea. It's like that went on for a while, didn't it?
6 weeks.
Yeah.
It was stressful.
Of course it was.
And I had to put the show back,
Yeah.
and it all came right in the end, but only because of the local shipper that used FedEx. Really, it was a nightmare. It was very, very stressful for me.
Yeah.
Getting back to public art, I think there is a need. There is a need in this town for legal walls for graffiti artists to paint. We've got the walls down under the arches on Avenue La Flèche that the council turn a blind eye to, so it's sort of semi-legal.
Yeah.
But I think with the redevelopment plans of the town centre, those walls will go. From my understanding of the town centre redevelopment, there will be some murals in the town, but they will almost be commissioned by the town council with local artists. What we need is walls for kids to go and learn how to do graffiti, and established graffiti artists to come.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about that.
Yeah. Isn't the what's the place in the Westmead called, the Arc thing? Isn't that a youth?
Yeah, it amazes me that the skate park there was built with no graffiti walls.
Because they go hand in hand. There you go. That's funny. I didn't realise that. I've never been there, to be fair. Have you approached them about that? They're a Bristol company, aren't they? I find the whole thing quite... I just have to say about the art, I find it quite challenging in the sense that I think... I'm not sure, because we did ask Borough Lands to tell us this information and they refused to, which again was a bit weird. How that money, say from Borough Lands, which is for people from Chippenham, was given for a project which I've never heard anything about. We worked in this town for over 25 years. I never heard any consultation about that. How they came up with the idea of a climbing wall, which by its very nature restricts so many people from using it, but not just that, the cost is really prohibitive. So I don't understand the concept of what went on there. I don't know how it came about. I don't understand how a Bristol company is running it. I mean, there's people I know who would do the same sort of thing who come from Chippenham, how they weren't asked. Also, I don't understand why it isn't, for instance, used because there's the skate park which is part of it, which I think might just be an afterthought, because there was obviously all this commotion for many years about a skate park in Chippenham. But they do go hand in hand. Skate parks and graffiti art almost rhyme, don't
You
they?
go to most skate parks in the country. I've been this one on Portland, in Weymouth. There's there's various ones around here. Calne, Trowbridge. I was in Trowbridge yesterday, and the skate parks are covered in graffiti, and there is walls that people can use.
Yeah.
And I'm like you, when I heard of the Arc and the skate park it's being built, the first thing I said is, are they building graffiti walls?
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't. So I don't know. I mean, it's not my place to judge.
Well, not judge. Well, whose place is it then? Whose place is it, I wonder, to question?
I think question.
Well, question
You know.
the process and the veracity and validity of how the money which is set aside for people from Chippenham. That's the point. The Borough Land's money was left by Queen Anne back in the day. Bless her, and she must have worked really hard for that money. Remember that, yeah. She set aside that land, and the interest of that bequeathment is given out annually. So I don't even understand why they've changed buildings either. This is all quite curious, actually. The whole thing about Borough Lands needs a close scrutiny, I think. But that they haven't involved locals in the part of it which is essential, which is the running of it. Don't know why it's a climbing wall. It's really such a minimal. Never heard anyone ever say they wanted it. Anyway, but moving on, you're just advocating public art. Now, one person's art is another person's whatever. Have you seen the latest portrait of Sausage
Charles.
Fingers? Oh,
King
Charles, you can call him Charles. He ain't my king. I don't have kings, you see. I don't. I refuse to have kings.
I have seen the
Yes.
portrait.
What do you think about it?
It's one man's interpretation. What do I think of it as a piece of art?
Or
it's not my cup of tea.
no.
It's very well done. It's a bit red for me.
Perhaps we
too
could
much
have
red.
a Maya maps. Well, do you see, this is the point. Do you think that actually that's some sort of, the beauty of art, of course, is thought provoking. That it's possibly suggesting that the whole royal concept is steeped in blood.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And I was reading something this morning that said it made him look like a dictator, which maybe you could perceive him
could
as,
perceive him
or-
in the position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole.
Let's set aside the personality. Let's imagine, if we can, that he's a perfectly lovely guy. Forget the adultery, forget all that sort of stuff. Don't even bring it up. Or his brother Andrew. Let's not even mention that, okay? Or his uncle Louis Mountbatten, who was assassinated for being a paedophile. Let's forget that, and let's imagine that we don't want to have, when we have so much poverty, and child poverty is at its highest rate in sort of living memory, which is disgraceful, that we have a position in society where, and again, forget the personalities, let's just put the position we have in society of a family that has something like 9 palaces or something crazy like that, really exclusive, lives of the best, has the best, doesn't turn out the best children, bless them, but totally goes against the whole idea of a meritocracy, of people achieving on merit. So it kind of disturbs the whole pure pattern. And I'm going back to the Civil War, and I know we weren't there, but going back to the Civil War, remembering that Parliament went against the idea of royalty. They just, so the parliamentarians, Cromwell, etc., weren't trying to get rid of monarchy, that wasn't their ambition. It was actually just to make it more accountable and for there to be more say. But the people that were representing in Parliament weren't your common people, and they weren't even up to the First World War, really. They were quite entitled landowners. So, I'm wondering, is that painting, again, we should see it on this podcast, absolutely, really, I mean, can you imagine, was it commissioned? Who was it?
I don't know. I just saw it pop up this
Yeah,
morning.
I wonder, was it, because it definitely wasn't paid for the royals, because they don't generally pay for stuff. So imagine it was paid for out of taxpayers' money. It is quite interesting. It's quite interesting because the only interpretation it's like blood and fire. It's like, yeah, when people were to look into how much money was made from slavery, from a variety of things that are on slavery, both the organised royal family and the church. But again, isn't it fascinating that art can provoke such responses? And I've read some people's comments about it, and they range from all sorts of stuff, and some love it, some think it's really unique. Lots of people have made the comment that it looks like it's him steeped in blood, which is essentially what the royal family's history is, in exploitation. But art is so powerful. I don't know that there's enough art, and I was talking a bit then ago about Sheldon School, fantastic school, really grateful for my teachers, etc. I wonder, are teachers and schools as institutions allowed to be as creative and to look at the arts in all their glories, in all aspects of art? And I'm not just talking about 2D, I'm talking about every part of design. Do you think that there is enough art generally in education and in society, access to it?
No.
Oh, yeah. That's a big thing, big
I mean,
lead into that, wasn't it? No. Well, it's true. Isn't it? Yeah. What would you suggest we do?
It's seen as what's it seen as? It's almost seen as a luxury. You know what I mean? Whereas like maths and English and geography, you've got to have that. But no, art, we'll cut that.
Yeah.
Because we actually need to. Art gives the people the opportunity to think differently, to express themselves in ways. It does with me. It gives me the opportunity to express myself in ways that I wouldn't or couldn't do anywhere else. So, but the education system is very narrow, and it's there for one purpose, to supposedly give people the skills to get a job, pay taxes. That's my view.
Yeah.
So why would the system give people the opportunity to do things that make them free thinkers? Because it's the free thinkers that change things, change the norm. So yeah, I don't think there's enough art in schools, in education. I mean, I hear people, I don't know enough about it because I don't move in those circles, but there's been a lot of funding for the arts cut from the government in recent years. You probably know more about this than me. Mental health as well, but I mean, to me, the two going. I mean, I have struggled with my mental health in the past, and art gives me an outlet to express that and actually get it out there and let it go.
Yeah.
To me, it's almost a basic need.
Yes, a fundamental
not
need.
An add-on, not an add-on to my education.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if the arts were the core subjects, we'd have less mental health issues.
Yeah, I think so.
So, isn't that an interesting thing? Because I do agree with you about. I think it's one of those big, really rich as at Rockefeller or someone like that, who kind of formulated the way of the mass education because they were really looking to train.
Yeah, control the
populace to become factory workers and or the like.
It goes back to William the Conqueror.
I'm sure.
That's what
Yeah,
he did.
yeah.
He came over here from France
Yeah,
and nicked all the land,
yeah,
gave it to his barons, knights, whatever,
yeah,
and then came up with a system that controlled everybody so
Yeah.
they could keep all the land. I mean, you're getting back to the royals again, really.
100%. I mean, this is
We
interesting.
sort of got off.
Well, no, because
art,
well,
it's sort of
yeah,
related.
It is related because this is how essential art is. Because we
Yeah,
talked
yeah.
about different subjects, and we can come through art to those other subjects. Because there you'll have the churches using artists such as Michelangelo, who was an outcast in the Catholic society because he was perceived as a drunken and a homosexual, but yet had such God-given talent that they utilised him to inspire all the other people to believe in God because some guy could paint on a ceiling. Let alone the beautiful, don't know who the architect, Donatello, whoever was the architect for the Sistine Chapel, etc., etc. These are artists. They're being used for propaganda.
Yeah, it was all about
Controlling, exactly.
people.
I mean, if nature isn't the greatest art, and whatever people's perception of God is, mine is it's the power greater than man's understanding. So think about that for a while you're sitting in the pub and going, don't talk about politics or religion. But it's been used. Art is a really powerful medium. That's why, Saatchi and Saatchi were employed by Thatcher to use clever, artistic, creative ways to get poor people, to vote for more poverty and more austerity for themselves without even knowing it. So it's massively important. But going back to the mental health, and it's Mental Health Awareness Week, it's essential to have the arts. And again, I'm no way undermining schools because they do amazing work with a little help, support, and whatever that they get. Teachers and head teachers, etc., are like the National Health Service. Wondrous people who are taken advantage of because they have this vocation to want to help and support the young and the less able. And I have just spent a lot of time over at Bath Royal United Hospital. Because I've had a variety of challenges: skin cancer, prostate cancer. Basically, I was going for the next cancer I get will probably kill me. So cross your fingers out there, the council. The beautiful thing about not only the fantastic people that work, and particularly the radiotherapy department, the oncology department, and the dermatology department, is that it's surrounded by art in that hospital.
Yeah. I was there recently, actually.
It's amazing. I've travelled quite a bit at that hospital, partly because I got the wrong department and I'm an idiot. But I can tell you that the art, and in the new Dyson Centre, well done, James Dyson, good man. You paid lots of your money and made sure that's a lovely new cancer thing. But what's better about it is the people that work in it. There's art every corridor, everywhere you go there, and you think, well, it's not for sale, so what's it for? It's to help heal people, to make the environment less austere or hostile or whatever, clinical, where fear and uncertainty may roam the corridors. There is beautiful, inspiring art. So I'm with you. Like music, like every other type of art, it's about the participant expressing themselves, clarifying their thoughts, or helping to communicate their emotions, and then the receiver feeling either equity with it and going, oh yeah, I get that. That's how I feel. I always think that about your series of clown paintings, that there's something really powerful in the image of a clown. Some people find it quite scary, which I get. But it's the idea of the what is it, the
It's a sad clown, although traditionally some clowns were sad.
Yes.
But in take away what Hollywood have done to the clown genre, as it were. But traditionally, clowns, jokers, jesters were there to make us laugh. I mean, getting back to the monarchy, they always had a court jester to lift So traditionally, clowns are there to make people happy.
Yeah.
And to make people sad. That's why I like clowns, and they have painted faces,
Yeah.
most of them. But actually, behind that painted face, there is a human being whose father might just have died.
Yes. Yeah.
Who's going through illness or whatever, and so when I portray clowns in sad situations where they maybe should be happy, it makes that comes from my mental health issues about getting my pain out, and when people can identify with that, they go, it's not just me that thinks like that.
That's it.
I thought it was only me that had these feelings, and then someone's done a painting that expresses what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And there's a connection, even if I'm not there. There's a connection with me through the painting to that person.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. And again, same with music, same with film. Express it. People watch you go, oh God, hear a song. See a painting.
How many times do you hear a song and you
that's
burst
how I
into
feel.
tears? You
Yeah,
know, it's
totally.
like, oh my God.
And it makes you feel exactly what you said. Oh, it's not just me.
Yeah.
There's me, in my room, not wanting to get out of bed because I feel X, Y, and Z. Then I hear a song, see a painting, whatever, and go, oh right, okay. There's other people that think that, and they must have survived it because they've created this piece of art. I always thought that about Leonard Cohen songs. It's like people say it's really depressing. I said, well, actually, it's the opposite. You hear the process of thoughts and how someone's described their emotions in a certain situation, and know that they lived a really happy life, quite a long life, and made not because he was doing it for the money, but he's a poet as well, made money from it because it was that valuable and important. So,
getting back to the window, I've got it for 3 weeks. Thank you.
No, thank you.
This week we've got my graffiti work. Next week we're going to mix it up a bit and bring some of my more figurative, lowbrow, pop surreal work in. Not quite sure what yet or what
That's
we're going to do, but I'm quite. I'm sort of keen to see how I feel on the day and see what I want to put in there, and But I've heard, and when we were setting up the window, people were stopping and going, "Wow, I haven't seen anything like this before."
Yes.
So that's cool. Again, it's that connection.
Yeah.
It's getting people to think differently.
Yeah.
To see that there's art out there like this.
Yeah.
Maybe I could do that. Or maybe that triggers people to go off and do something creative themselves. I don't know.
I think
it doesn't matter.
but what's
as long
the
as it has an
lovely
impact.
100%, and this is why thank the people. We do thank the people that own and run Emery Gate, because they get it. They see the value of it, and they go, right. Actually, we're going to support you do this. Because it doesn't bring them any money. What it does do is it allows their clientele, or whatever they want to call having a different experience. And obviously, lots of people come in here and do the workshops as well. So they have other reasons coming to this centre. It's really far-sighted of them to see that there's actually a social resource based around creativity, based around art, that gives people another value, an additional value, other than, and then you get it when people shop and they get things. There's a social aspect, and I think that's how the town's going to be moving. And I certainly think that the people that own this shopping centre see it as being a mixed.
That was going to be my next point. This town needs more shops, facilities, premises that normal people can afford to rent, use, and bring some diversity in. More like Devizes, Frome, Stroud. You go to those town centres. It's not all. Yes, there are a lot of the same shops there, but there's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of small businesses. There's
independence.
A lot of independence, vegetarian, vegan, different business is there, and we need that in this town to make it more vibrant. More vibrant.
I agree with you, and also the aspect of social spaces, because actually we can't ignore the fact that the internet has had lots of effects, positive and negative, mainly positive I'd say in lots of ways.
A lot of negative.
Of course a lot of negative, but that's the same with any information technology. Who controls it? What's the agenda? What's the narrative? Whether it's TikTok or Twitter or X, whatever it's called, who owns it? What's their agenda? What does the average person get out of it? Well, the freedom to express their ideas, not necessarily that everyone agrees with them or don't agree with them, and there could be all sorts of manner of ideas, but you can access different sorts of information, not from the old traditional control resources or sources, whether it be the monarchy, whether it be the government, whether it be the religion, whatever, just saying we're the readers and writers and we're telling you this is fact. Now people can double check it, but they also shop on it. So actually, the idea, I think it's really important to have independent uniqueness about the retail aspect of a town, but also to acknowledge that you have to service the souls, and not in a religious context, of your inhabitants. The thing about Chippenham, and I love it, and that's why I came back after, want to raise my children here after living in London, was that because it's got a railway station, because it's near a motorway, the powers that be, or the people that cynically get into powers, into decision making and governments, etc., just allow the commercial aspect of land to be, or county farms, which is absurd after the COVID scare and the and the Brexit and food supply. Why would you risk not having a local supply of food for your community, but that you can have endless building in an area because it's got a railway station, which does massive damage to the infrastructure of the town. You got all this building, these amazing mazes of houses that don't have any social fabric, they don't have a cohesive community aspect to it. They don't really, lots of people go work out of this town.
Yep.
So dormitory town halls, and so we need, and that's why it's not handy actually having party political candidates in local councils, either the county or the town council. We need independent people. We need people, citizens' assemblies, where more people are involved in just voting online, use the internet, whatever if they can, or voting more regularly about aspects of budgeting, about what we spend our money on, what areas need improving, what areas, because there isn't enough for young people, there isn't enough for senior citizens. There basically isn't enough unless you go to pubs, which have an interesting, whatever people think about alcohol, they are essentially drug holes, aren't they? They're drug dens. That's essentially what's happening. There's people are selling a legal drug that's been there for centuries. Introduced lots of it. It used to be made by the monks, which is interesting. But you basically have these places that are so social, but are to a degree, and you can have all sorts of aspects. But the underlying reason is to get people to drink essentially a poison which affects their mental health and their physical health, and is causing all sorts of side issues. So our National Health Service is overburdened, particularly on a Friday and Saturday night when people lose it in these places and start smashing the town up or smashing each other up, or towns, the accident and emergency centres, blah blah blah, overburdened because of alcohol. Very negative drug, said Ed, who'd given it up. But it's true. You've got to couple yourself on every now and again. But there needs to be an acceptance in towns that actually people coming together in spaces that are creative, that are just nice to be part. We've got some lovely parks, which is great, but spaces in the built environment where people can relax. It's like the Neald Hall, the what's it called?
The piece at the back.
No,
the
that.
cafe.
I'm going to do a whole bit. I've got another site called.
Don't-
Yeah, I've got another a thing deliberately just to talk about politics called Ed Deedigan, Truth versus Politics, another one of my podcasts and sites, which is just about stuff like that. People will be shocked about the whole Neil Hall thing. No, it's the bit. You know, they do exhibitions sometimes. We've done them there. What's it? You know, you go the foyer, right? That is a really nice space. It's got a public toilet, which they don't ever advertise. There's a toilet in there, but
I
that's
didn't know that.
right.
See?
No, I found out from Councillor Liz Alstrom and Matthew Short recently at a meeting that that's a public space for people to use the toilet. So I should publicise that. Also, they do art exhibitions. Also, it was supposed to be a warm space, you know, from this austerity, from this appalling government. The Liberal Democrats, all of them, to a person, this is why party politics doesn't work in local governance, voted against it being a warm space, a space that is owned by the public, that has generated all this heat and energy for use of nobody but the two people that work on reception. It's appalling. But that's the sort of space I'm talking about, where people should be able to come together, look at art, use the convenience, not saying that they should be given cups of tea or anything, but just have a bit of peace to observe the art. The museum does really well. I think our local museum is really good, and the history space is a really good bit.
Yeah, they're doing some really good
They're
things. Did you
doing
go
fantastic-
to the Cindy exhibition that they
Friend
had?
of mine
Cindy
was
Doll.
part
It
of
was
it,
a
yeah.
surreal
Yeah,
experience.
my kids went. Yeah,
it was
one of my kids
an
went.
international, for me, it was
Yeah.
an international art show.
Yeah.
Collect if you're
Yeah.
into collecting, if you're into art,
Yeah.
if you're into pop culture.
Yeah.
It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I
They did
agree.
and they do really good.
They do
really
educational
good job.
stuff. I think actually it's one of the things that I'm probably would talk big up about Chippenham is the museum, because sometimes people think museum, or they think museum.
Yeah, we
You know.
think like
But
dead
yeah.
artifacts, and-
But it's thriving, isn't it?
No, it's
really
very
well
forward
thought.
thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the shows that I put on with Mike at the
Yield.
Yield
Yeah.
Hall, you know, the Yield is basically run by the museum,
Yes.
and they were really supportive
Yeah,
in
they're
what
good.
we did there, and we were trying to do something different. And
Yeah.
well, we did do something different and alternative,
Yeah.
and it caused a stir in the town, which is great.
It is.
You know,
Yeah.
again,
tell
it's
me
about getting that art out there.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
what
Yeah,
talking of the town centre and social interaction and that, there's nowhere, and this is not just Chippenham, but there's nowhere to go in the town after 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. It's not a pub or a restaurant, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But those of us that don't want to eat out tonight or
Yeah.
can't afford it
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
and don't drink or don't want to go to a pub,
Yeah.
there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
You know, we should have places open in the evening
Right.
that I can go at 8 o'clock
Yeah.
and have a cup of coffee,
Have a coffee.
and chat
Right.
to people.
Okay, I'm going to have to say it now.
And
Sorry.
that's back to
I'm going to have to say what I was going to say about the Neil Hall. Yeah.
and that's about social interaction, because
Right.
so many people are stuck in their phones these
Yeah,
days, and they
yeah.
get home. I do it, you know. I'm
Yeah.
not, you know. I watch
Yeah.
Netflix, or
Right.
I'm on my laptop or something.
Right.
Actually, that is one good thing about the Arc.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Arc.
Yeah.
That is open till 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And there is a cafe there, and
Yeah.
you can go there, but
Yeah.
it's a bit out away from the town centre.
It is.
And it's very
yeah.
geared
Yeah.
to the people that use the Arc.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, let's have
So
some,
the Neil
some
Hall,
places out that
that-
are,
yeah,
that are open
which is
till
in the centre.
9 or 10 o'clock
Right.
at night, where people
So,
can go,
the Neil
not
Hall.
buy alcohol,
The Neil Hall.
and have a social interaction.
Right. So many years ago, we were asked to do a consultation about the Neil Hall, and we looked at it. We made suggestions on how we could utilise it as a public space, as a performance space, as an integrated space, whatever. And we were then told by the then mayor, Desna Allen, who's still kicking about there, Lib Dem. She got lots of publicity by saying that she was going to support it. It was a great idea. We wanted to utilise it for young people, all sorts, whatever. In the paper was great, blah, blah, blah. We'd never got a penny or another conversation about all these amazing plans that we'd gone doing. So recently, in the last 3 years, I approached Liz Alstrom, who bizarrely is a Lib Dem and was my local councillor, is my local councillor, but hopefully not for longer, much longer, but was the town mayor. So she used to come to our former space and we talked about this idea. It's like, we want to make the Neald Hall for exactly what you're saying, bizarrely. We, as a successful organisation that have worked in communities up and down the country, in some of the hardest areas, I've advised at the Home Office, etc., that we would be able to put in a bid to finance the changing integration of the Neald Hall as a social space for all generations, performances, art gallery, you name it, cafes, exactly what you're talking about, open 7 days a week, right? Run by a combination of professionals and volunteers, etc., and refer to the fact that we were promised by the Lib Dems or Des or Allen we'd have this support back in the day, and nothing ever happened. Well, Liz Alstrom, bless her, she went and we never heard from her again. She told me, and I quote, "Oh yeah, when I mentioned it was Des, oh yeah, they're dinosaurs, we're going to get rid of them. We will make sure nothing." So when we asked her after 2 years, because she came up with all sorts of reasons why she hadn't done this, when we asked her, her response was to point me to the people that I had to complain about her to, as opposed to come up with any. Wait 2 years, by the way, for this response. So this, and I'm only saying this now, and I will say this on my other podcast because we're going to go into the whole detail about the Lib Dems, etc., but specifically because you said about that, it's been in my psyche about the Neald Hall being a social community, community, really massively integrated. It doesn't necessarily have to sell alcohol, does it?
No.
Right?
It should actually not.
Right. It should, however, be open and intergenerational. Obviously, there'll be times at night where you're not going to have toddlers there. We get that. But age-specific, but also a place where people regularly, every day if they need to, there will be shows on. There will be just areas we can just sit back. Will there be workshops? There's other rooms in that place. It's an absolute disgrace how badly, and I have to say it, the Liberal Democrats have let this community down, because we were going to put the bid in. We've got the reputation to be able to get, like Trowbridge got, millions of pounds. Now, other councillors approach me and say, "Hey, can you talk about the fact that you talking about that thing at the back there? Apparently it cost," and we need to fact check this, £500,000, which I presume to have that up thing, right? Which is pointless because it's hardly ever used. This is the chagrin of the other councillors saying, "Can you talk about that on your thing? Because can you investigate it?" And the councillors are coming to me to investigate it. I get it, because the
I mean, isn't this about trying to change, or the change in the system? I know Liz, and she does do quite a lot of good.
She does a lot of photo opportunities. Well, mate, she could if she let us down. If she let Candy,
I don't
well,
know.
I'm telling
but
you,
there is a system there
Yeah.
that again, it's like
Yeah.
the monarchy, that is protected.
Yeah.
And they make sure.
Yeah.
So there's no radical change. So that is,
Yeah.
we got that at a monarchistic monarchy level. I don't know what the word is.
Yeah.
But also local government is the same. You know, they want to keep control and power, so they're not going to let the likes of artists or activists.
Well, I'm not.
If that's what you want to be called.
I don't want to be called anything. I'm actually someone that acts on the information at hand. We have some of the poorest children, children in child hunger, in living memory. Okay, so when I give my time free to do consultations, because I get it that the councillors haven't got a clue what's really going on, and we work in society. When I go to the trouble of doing that, presenting that as a report and saying this is what I think we could do with the local arts officer at the time, and Desna Allen says, "Oh yes, this is fantastic, we're going to make it happen," and nothing happens, that sticks with me, because I then see, right, then when I get a new, and this is bizarre about Liz Alstrom, as we're talking about her, she came to this town, before she lived here, she campaigned to be a councillor. I find that quite strange. I have spent many hours talking to her about these things, and she had a list of these problems that I identified. Never heard from her again. Never heard from her again. I have seen her give countless photo opportunities pretending to be her. I know her to be disingenuous, so I work in the society. I'm not an artist, I'm not a thing. I work with some of the poorest people in our community, not just in Chippenham, around Wiltshire, in all the towns. So I am possibly one of the only people that can make these comments, because I know, and I'm not an activist.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I agree. I know, of course not. I'm not expecting you. I'm bringing this up because you talked about the Neil Hall, but there's a whole feature being done about on the other channel. On the other channel, I want to put it there, so if it's over there. I don't want to put you any distress because I'm talking about it. But you literally said it. It's like, my God, you're literally saying the thing that we've been trying to get off the ground.
That was just an example.
But it's a brilliant example.
Sort of space,
but
it can be
I didn't
privately run.
Yeah.
Or run by the people that own Emery Gate or whatever. We need these spaces. I don't care who runs them. I don't care about the politics
as long as they happen.
behind them.
No, but it has to happen.
People have got
right, but we have got a space. It's called the Neil Hall. It's for the people. It's run appallingly. But it couldn't get any worse. Being asked, and it's years ago, we're talking years ago, we were asked to do this thing. We're getting bands. We ended up getting Michael Ball there, Jerome Flynn. I tried to get Mel C on 20th anniversary there. I went to the Neil Hall 6 weeks in a row. I took a witness in the end because I just couldn't believe it, to say, I need to talk to someone about us doing this concert. We're going to do a celebration of Candu's 20 years at the time, so it was literally 5 years ago. We want to do this thing. They never got back to me. Next week I went in and said, I came in last week about this thing. Never got back to me. 6 weeks in a row. So we eventually did it in Laycock. And Mel C, bless her, the Sporty Spice, for those who don't know, came in and did this amazing concert for us, with us. Should have been in the heart of town. I'm only mentioning this because you've actually said, what you're describing is exactly what we were trying to design. So it isn't just us. It's not me saying, "Here, Simon, talk about this." Well, you know that right there you go.
There's nothing.
Right there you go.
Exactly.
So this is why I'm saying you're totally right, because those spaces would go a long way to ending, or I don't know about ending, but certainly supporting people who have social isolation, who feel disconnected, who might not necessarily have the disposable income. They can't buy food out in restaurants. They can't, you know what I mean? When you think it, they can't really go to pubs because what are they going to do? Sit there all night with the water. And the thing about pubs, obviously, is that people get drunk and they become different, and that's quite an unsafe environment a lot of the time. But a space, which like you're talking about, for people to integrate or just sit on their own and just be in company or be in the centre of the town. It's really important. These are such important issues. They can't be put on the periphery of town, or like trying to get the young people to be somewhere else. It's just appalling. However, let's not go on any more about it. You better tune into my other channel, Ed Deedigan, Truth versus Politics, and vote for me when I run for election. Can I say it on this politics? On this channel, I don't know. I love what you do. I love that you have been obviously doing it for years, but you're bringing it to the people. You just if you just try. If listen, I wouldn't have you on this day, right? If the only thing you ever did is talk about stuff. If I want to do this art, I want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, we've run shows at the Yeld, and the thinking maybe we'll start that again. Although I believe that Yeld is closed this summer for some sort of renovation. But yeah, I've been talking with a few other local artists about maybe starting that because it was so successful.
Brilliant.
Not in that people did buy art, but not in that way, in a monetary way. The fact that it brought diverse art into the town centre.
We brought all our young people.
Yeah,
they loved it.
And people were going like, "Wow." We didn't
wow,
know.
right.
We didn't know this sort of thing existed, or that you can paint like that or whatever.
Yeah.
So kicking around ideas, but again, it's takes a lot of time to do that.
Of course it does, and you know that if you ever want any support from us, we will always give it to you. If it's publicity or this sort of thing, or posters or stuff and thing, but just so you know, as you do know. We brought our young people.
I know. Yeah, I can remember.
And it's mind blowing. It's mind-blowing, and it's the same thing I was talking about back in the day with my art teachers, Joe Tilson, etc., etc. Having people like yourself that are accessible, Ray Melody, there's a whole, the brilliant artists that are volunteers in this shop, are absolutely golden, and it's really interesting. It's a byproduct, something we wanted to do in the Neat all the way back in the time, but it's a byproduct of the coronavirus, whatever that might be, that we got that empty space, and we were able to start part of what I'm talking about. We've now proven our ability to be able to do that, because it's nearly run, it's going into its 4th year now. That's what I'm talking about, but it doesn't happen without courageous, interesting, stimulating people like yourselves, and the massive community of great people we have in this town. So, and there's great councillors as well. So I'm not just I don't. I want to evolve the system. I'm just pointing out stuff that I can point out, because why wouldn't I? I'm in a unique position to do it, and I'm not talking about this position I'm sitting in. Thank you for your time, people. I didn't realise you were going to change the windows. I think it's even more exciting. Make sure you come and see, and if you're lucky to have a chance to talk to this fine artist, but come and see the art. Even if you're passing, it's in the front window. You can just have your own little private view, looking at the fantastic, which people do, which is great. If you sat here, you'd be really proud. Go, yeah. People just get whoa.
Yeah,
and it's going to change,
in that world.
and it's going to change over the week. So see each exhibition, and if you have something you want to invest in, please buy some art, because it's the gift that keeps giving, because it's there forever. You keep looking at it, it inspires and re-inspires you. I've got loads of it, and I really appreciate it. Si Griffiths,
thank you.
You are a legend. Thank you.
Bless you.
That is a cut.